Twice in one day, David had the chance to end his years of struggle. Twice Saul was within his reach. Twice David could have killed him. Yet he didn't. And that act of restraint is far more significant than slaying Goliath. In fact, that moment of self-control how much more your daily frustrations. So here's the challenge. This week, pay attention. When you feel anger rising, when you're tempted to lash out, when you want to complain, stop and ask, what test am I in right now? Which inclination will I feed? Because the battle between the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Hatov is not abstract theology. It is your life. And every test, big or small, is part of God's sovereign training. Nothing is random. Providence is everywhere. The real question is not whether God is present. The real question is, are you paying attention? A few years ago, there was a series of terror attacks in Jerusalem. One evening, my family and I were walking through the old city. My kids, who were 6 and 9 at the time, were ahead of us. Suddenly, my wife and I heard a commotion, people running, screaming. Immediately, every instinct in my body screamed, "Run! Hide! Do something!" My wife grabbed hold of me. She didn't need to say a word. I knew exactly what she was thinking. We had just seen the same thing happen a few months earlier. There was a bomb in the market. People were hurt. But we had a choice in that moment. Don't act out of fear. Don't act out of panic. Instead, run to your children. I made a split-second decision. I didn't grab my wife's hand. I didn't run to hide. I ran towards our kids. I didn't know what would happen. Would there be another attack? Would our worst fears be realized? But in that moment, I knew I had to make a stand against the Yetzer Hara. When we got to the corner where our kids were, they were fine. They were with a group of people, but they were safe. And then I noticed a woman kneeling by herself on the other side of the street. Something told me to go over and see if she was okay. I don't remember crossing the street. All I remember is kneeling beside this woman. And I'll never forget what happened next. As I knelt there, my heart pounding, this woman looked up at me, tears streaming down her face, and she said, "Are you okay? Are you sure you're okay?" And I realized, despite everything we had seen and experienced, she was afraid for me, for my family. And in that moment, I knew that no matter what happens in life, no matter how scary things get, I can't lose sight of what really matters. The Torah tells us that the Yetzer Hara is like a roaring lion. Sometimes the roars are loud, sometimes they're barely a whisper, but the only way to resist is by running towards, not away from, what matters most. Have a good week.